Billy, Coach Locks was telling us about your relationship with Leah. How did that make you a better quarterback, and what were some of the things you learned from him that you're going to apply to this year as a full-time starter?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing, over my 2 years playing with Talia, I think the first thing is, when I first transferred in here, he welcomed me with open arms. I think the first thing that, allowed for me to do was, know that, okay, I can push him right as a backup. Obviously in the quarterback room, only one place. It can get, a little tricky sometimes, but, we always competed, always pushed each other. If there was something he did better than me, he would tell me a tip. If it was vice versa, I would do the same. But I think the biggest thing, he played obviously multiple, probably 30, 45 games in his career. The biggest thing that I learned from him was just how to handle success and how to handle adversity. I think the compliment to him was he was always the same guy. Thinking about what I've had to do over the last 10 days, and I think of how I watched him do it, and he was always the exact same person. Always had a smile. Always was the same kind of uplifting to Leah that we all knew. So I'd say that's just the biggest thing is he texted me multiple times throughout camp and before the first game. And just reminded me, how long of a season it is, and just to take it one week at a time, one day at a time, one game. And I think he lived that out, the 2 years that I was here watching him. So I think that's the biggest thing is just, watching him, see how he went about his business. And, season's a long season, you can get tough, but he just was, he took it one day at a time, and he kept kind of the same positive mindset he had. And that's, something that all, I took away the last 2 years, and that I'll look to try to do this year.
Hey Billy, I know you always talk about one day at a time, one game at a time, and this week you guys are playing a Big Ten opponent, which is kind of early. How do you feel about it, kind of playing that conference game so early? Does anything change at all in the preparation, I guess, in terms of knowing that it's a Big Ten caliber team? It might be a little bit of a different type of game. What's kind of the mental mindset, I guess, going in?
Yeah, I would say, as Coach Loxley says, we're nameless, faceless opponents. We're playing Michigan State obviously this week, but I think there isn't too much of a difference in terms of my preparation or the team's preparation. I would say, too, I would kind of think of myself as a young player here, right? This being, my third, fourth career start. There's not much of a difference, in my opinion, playing in Michigan State, a Big Ten opponent week 2. Obviously just watching the tape, they're a good team, they're a great defense, played a very strong week 1. They have a lot of new faces, but I'd say for us it's just, it's the next opponent up on the board, and we got to go about our business the same way that we will all year and we have all year. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's too much of a difference. I think I'm sure that's probably more external, the excitement of playing a Big Ten team, but not much of a difference inside the locker room.
Billy, can you kind of take us through the decision to transfer here, and how much was being closer to home a factor in that?
Yeah, I would say, my freshman year at Wake Forest, it was like about a 5.5 hour drive that, my parents or my sister, pretty regularly made. Wasn't the end of the world, but I knew that, when I made the decision to enter the portal, that wherever I was going was going to be closer than that. When the opportunity, came here, obviously with my familiarity of it, known Coach Locks, Coach Enos, Coach Miller at the time, since I was 13, 14 years old. And then the biggest thing, what I always tell younger guys is, college football's players' careers are always about opportunity, and there's a really good one in front of me here. And just 35 minutes from home, I'm sure it doesn't get much better than that. So that was kind of, the icing on the top of the cake for that. But it was just, the opportunity that lied, and then the familiarity I had with, University of Maryland already. Obviously, my brother worked here. My dad played here for 2 years. And, it was a perfect fit. It was something, looking back on 2 years ago, I got pretty lucky. I'm glad I made the decision. I'm glad, it all kind of worked out the way it did. But yeah, it was just, opportunity, and then obviously location close to home and familiarity with what was going on here.
Hey Billy, 2 questions for you. First, how do you balance the, letting yourself feel some excitement and kind of confidence coming off that first game, but knowing, again, it is just one game and it is a long season ahead, and trying to keep that even keel attitude? Where's the balance there?
Yeah, it's I would say life's all about balance. It's not easy to find that. I was texting Coach Locks' son Kai this weekend, and we had a text back and forth, and he kind of reminded me of the same thing you just said. It's one game, and it's good to have that excitement and that confidence coming from it, but at the same time, he was like, it's a long season, and to continue to have the horse blinders on, and when it's all said and done here in a couple months, we'll look back at what we were able to do. Yeah, I'd say there's balance, but I'd say I'd be more happy at the end of it if I, had the mindset I do now. I'm just taking it one at a time, and I'd be able to look back and have less regret. But it's hard, especially with with all the external factors, I try to limit my time on social media, my time reading stuff, and just really it's JHH, my apartment, or nothing when it comes to the season. But yeah, it's tough, but I'm excited at what we have inside the locker room, what we have going. The season's a fun time. Everyone in that locker room is putting 55 plus hours a week into this game plan, and putting their time and effort into us to go out there and have a chance to succeed on Saturday. So that's kind of what keeps me motivated, is just to keep the main thing right now. And then when it's all said and done here in December, January, we'll all look back and be able to enjoy what we were able to accomplish.
One of your teammates who was part of the win and had a touchdown, Josiah McLaurin. We know what kind of week he had, what kind of 2 weeks in the tragic passing of his father. Coach Loxley talked about him and staying here with the team and having you guys rally around him. What did you see from Josiah and from your team, and then to have that moment together on the field in the locker room after? Take us through what that was like for your team.
Yeah, first of all, you just talk about that, I get chills. Josiah's one of the toughest human beings I've been around and had to encounter that and witness that first person. But I think the decision he made to stay here all week, I think was it was good for him, but I think it was better for all of us just to be around him and know that this guy made the decision to stay here. He's obviously he's going through something that I can't imagine. I know some teammates have had that happen, but it was tough on us. But I think we all loved him up. Rob Smith did a great job taking him under his wing, and just being there as whatever we could do for him in the week leading up to the game to support him. But yeah, that Dante Trader gave him the game ball in the locker room after the game, and he said God works in mysterious ways, and I'm very happy. It was a very cool moment as a player, as a teammate, to witness him able to go in on his first collegiate game and get his first touchdown. But yeah, he's Josiah's tough as nails. It was a really cool experience to watch that. Yeah, sucks, but we love Josiah. We'll continue to be around him, and he's been like I said, tough as nails. Like, he's been the same kid all week, and you obviously think to yourself, putting myself in in his shoes, it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest things we can go through. But yeah, he handled it great, and it was, like I said, I think it meant more to the team that we were able to be there for him and be around him for the week leading up to the game, and then for him to have the touchdown on Saturday. I think that made it all us feel good for him, and I'm sure it helped him get a few laughs and high spirits with the week he had. But it was a tough situation, but like I said, God works in mysterious ways. It worked out well for his first game, but we'll continue to love up on him, be on him, however he may need. But he's a tough kid.
Hey Billy, I was talking with Ty after the game, and he said at some point, I think in the second half, he came up to you on the sideline and said how proud he was of you as a guy that's followed you from Fairfax County growing up and into Wake and now here. What's the bond that you guys have between each other?
Yeah, I think I'm going into year 4 college now, so I think Ty and I have known each other for about 7-8 years. We played each other freshman year in high school, played each other in multiple 7-on-7 tournaments. But he was always a guy that, even when I didn't come here right out of high school and, he had committed here, he had, a handful of offers. We always stayed in touch, always followed each other, kept in touch and would work out when we could. And then I think, where we really got close was probably during COVID when I'd start, going out to where he lived in Ashburn and working with the trainer, his same trainer that worked with him throughout high school. And then, Saturday was one of many, full circle moments to get into a game and to be the starter and to get the throw to him and see him have the success he had. It was definitely, he came up to me and he shared that moment, but it meant just as much to me to be a part of his success, knowing that we're both 2 Northern Virginia guys coming from similar area, and we're just trying to help our team win. And it was a very cool experience how we got to do it together. We'll hope to continue to have that same success throughout the rest of the year, but that's it's pretty cool when you can do it with not many people obviously go and play college football, but when you got a guy that you've known since you were 13, 14 years old, before you got recruited, before you got any offers, it just makes it that much sweeter.
And if I could ask, Coach Locks a few minutes ago called you Leah's brother's keeper in some ways last season, helping him be on time and get to practice. There's a moment that kind of comes to mind of trying to keep him from not missing a meeting or a practice.
No, I can't pinpoint one. I would just say, having lived in Talia's shoes the last 7-8 days, I can't blame him. It gets hard, with all the time commitments. But yeah, I helped Talia out in some sense with that, but he helped me out in more ways than what I was able to give to him. So, but yeah, it was we had a good relationship. We took care of each other.
Billy, Michigan State's defense, specifically the front seven, what kind of things do they do to make you guys uncomfortable? What becomes more of a priority against what the Spartans roll out?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just execution. You know, they're a very experienced front seven. They got some new pieces, you know, linebacker and up front, you know, from the portal and whatnot, but they're very experienced. They're very stout. They play the run well. They're physical. You know, just watching the one game from FAU, you know, aside from any tape outside of that, they played the run really well and they got after that quarterback. So, you know, I think the biggest thing with, you know, what Coach got us hit on yesterday and what we've been telling ourselves since Sunday when we started watching the tape was just we just got to execute these guys. We got to cover them up, you know, allow Roman, allow the running game to get going. But they're a very experienced front seven, so, you know, we'll have our hands full. But I think, you know, our guys are excited for the challenge to go up against a different type of opponent. You know, they run some different things up front than what UConn did, but we'll definitely have our hands full, but I think we're excited for the challenge.
And the offensive line, no sacks given up last Saturday, 5+ yards per carry. How did the whole get to be better than the sum of its parts with 5 new guys, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think, you know, hats off to the 3 offensive line coaches we have, or the 3 guys that are working in that room, Coach Brass, Coach Robo, and Coach Ferentz. And then I think, you know, tip my hat to the guys in the room, because obviously it's tough with the landscape of college football nowadays. I think, you know, Andre Roy's been here. Isaac Bunyan's been here. He had to change positions, come back to offensive line. Josh Kallenberger's new. Aluba's new. Allen's new. So there's a lot of moving parts, but I give a lot of credit to those guys and their coaches for understanding that you know, there was going to be a process of growing pains that, you know, we went through in the spring. But I'd say the biggest thing is that room's pretty tight. You know, they all get along well. Josh, I spent a lot of time watching film with Josh. We're in the same graduate program together, so we spend a lot of time talking outside of here. But I think just the cohesion of that room and the growth that they've made on the field but off the field, I think has helped them, you know, have the success on the field they've had so far. But yeah, they'll continue to get better and continue to grow closer. And I know they go out and eat a lot, as linemen like to do. So I think that's helped them, you know, just become better friends, become, you know, better teammates. And, you know, up front you got to have that, you know, connection, because, you know, it gets tough in the trenches, but they've done good so far. So you got to keep, you know, continue to do what they do and put the right step forward.
Billy, last year, first of all, congrats on a great game last week.
Thank you.
Last year, we saw you start a game, you won the game. It was conservative, passing-wise. Then we saw you against Auburn start the game, get a couple drives in, and then all of a sudden, this game last week, you're throwing left and right down the middle on the run, and to me, it was surprising, whatever, that quick growth. What happened over the off season? Did you go to any special camps? What made you grow as a passer off the off season?
Yeah, I would say I think I've always had it in me. I think it was just about, getting more comfortable in it. Obviously with, been here 2 seasons, and the nature of the games that I went in, there was, not much time to get comfortable, whether it was a sporadic start here and there, or, coming in for, short yardage, goal line packages, whatever the case may be. But I think just, the biggest thing for me this offseason was more mental, and knowing trusting the fact that I can throw the football. It's, I couldn't run in high school, but I could throw, and, kind of the narrative changed, obviously, throughout my college career, but just more the internal confidence of just, last week in practice, I got after it, and, I was very calm going into Saturday's game. I told myself it was like a Tuesday practice where, I had made those throws countless of times. I had, felt my feet on time and, made the right checks, made the right reads. So that was just the biggest thing for me. I think my growth in the offseason of going into my 4th year, I'm an older player now, not making the game bigger than it is. I think, other games that I'd come in previous, I got very amped up, very excited to get an opportunity to play, where now it's just, I'm always trying to be that level-headed guy, and knowing that, like Coach Locke says, we got to get after it. We got to put the work in Monday through Friday. And for me, that's the biggest thing. It's just having good practices. And, I'm going to make mistakes in practice, but getting those corrected by the end of the week will give me all the confidence in the world to go out there on Saturday and make those same throws.
Hi, Billy. Congrats on a great game last weekend once again. You mentioned your family having ties to this university. You've kind of been waiting in the wings for this opportunity. You started in games before here at Maryland, but in the past it was you got to start. Now you are the starter. What does this, moment mean this Saturday, not just for you, but for your entire family?
Yeah, I would say I got to give a shout out to my sister. She always does, a good job of, when we're in the season and in the midst of things, I kind of have the blinders on and I don't, probably do a good enough job of, taking in the moment. But it was dating back to when I was a young kid, wanted to play Power 5 football. But even, more importantly, when I made the decision to come here with all the ties that my family has here and, how close it is to home and how many people I get to come to games, it definitely was a special moment. One that, I tried to soak in. Probably when it's all said and done, I'll go back and be able to take it all in. But it means a lot. I think I put more pressure on myself just with all those people that I have from Northern Virginia, from here, all my family and friends that are able to come and support me with how close it is to just go out there and put my best product out there on the field Saturday. But it was definitely a special moment. My whole family, my brother obviously not included. He had a game down in Charlottesville, but pretty much my whole family was able to come. My sister flew back in from Rhode Island, so it was a cool moment. One that I'll hope to have many more times with them. But yeah, my sister does a good job of reminding me that, because as always, as soon as we won, we had our hugs, and then I was like, all right, on to the next. And so, we shared a few conversations about it where I was able to kind of sit back and enjoy it a little bit.
Thanks, guys.